And hello, everyone. All about the gyro here. Welcome to episode 9 of An iRacer Goes Trucking. In this episode, as I click into Sim, we're going to try to finish all the cities in Latvia and head into Lithuania. So to do that, we got one last town we got to cross off. It's this one right here. So we're going to be looking for short loads that do this. So let's see if we have any from Riga. So in this particular episode, I'm going to discuss the license system in iRacing. And we're going to go ahead and tow our first special cargo. So you see this symbol right here. And that will get us to complete Latvia. And so this is what happens with special loads. And luckily I have driven these on the other profile I have. So I have a pretty good idea of what to do and, more importantly, what not to do. That's a biggie. What not to do. Because this sucker is heavy, it's big. So get a nice good look at it. So, the iRacing license system, I'm going to hit escape here and get us moving. Here are the rules that you have to follow. So, make sure that and I just noticed my steering wheel had timed out. So, let's see if I can. Yep. All right. So it's going to be very important to drive centrally. Because there's the exit. And we're going to be going left. So I'll be pretty cautious as I am driving this. And the beautiful thing about Esport, so you see the gate right there. We may see how we just snagged it in the background. That's back up here. That was my fear. Let me turn this way. Now you see the next problem. This is so heavy. All right, let's back this back down here. And I've hit it again. So, welcome to one take. So you get to see all the errors. We're going to try to... There we go. That's... Sometimes you just got to drive on somebody's lawn. So, apologies for the lawn I have destroyed. But I am not a professional. Now, in American Truck Sim, okay, this works the same way. You can just go through and we don't get any red light, so I gotta take very broad corners here. There we go. Alright. Already feeling successful already. So, let's talk about the iRacing license system. So for those unaware, iRacing has Rookie, then D, C, B, A, and then you have the World Class Black license. So, the way that it stands right now is you do enough rookies to achieve a certain safety rating, you automatically get promoted to D, and then you have to do 4 races per license level all the way up to A inclusive, and once you get to A, you don't have the minimum participation requirement anymore. Now, inherently, this leads to situations where and I am guilty of this because I did this first starting out, because I wanted to drive the fast cars. I knew how to get the safety rating up to get promoted. So the instant promotion is 4.0. Okay, now this is going to be very tricky here. I'm going to make sure, and alright, we've given room. The thing about Special Convoy is you get maximum fuel in your truck. So, a lot of people go about the license progression this way. I've done it, and I will freely admit it. They get into D license and they go, I want to race in Series X, and then they figure out how to get the Series X. They don't take enough time in the lower junior Formula Series to gain the necessary skills for the increased responsibility that a license has. This is part of the reason why I dipped to the low to mid 800s in iRating. I hadn't learned. Those are brakes that you're hearing. I hadn't learned the necessary skills, and here I was on my Logitech G29 setup with Logitech pedals and not being very successful. I hadn't learned the skills necessary with a G29, and you have people out there that are very high iRating, and they race with that exact equipment. So it is not an equipment issue, it is a driver skill issue. And so because of that, what happens, I'm going to slow down here because we're entering a little town. Malta. You get these low splits in, let's say, VRS, IMSA, LMP2 fixed. Less so now the European Sprint Series, because that's really the only place you can get GTEs anymore. But the point is still the same. Low iRating trying to manhandle a car that is in excess of 500 brake horsepower. You see how heavy this is. I've dropped 20 kilometers per hour. Just to get a little momentum because it's heavy. And we have another roundabout coming. So, that's the first weakness of the license system is, and don't think this was done accidentally. I think this was done with economic viability in mind, because people forget iRacing is a business. So it makes sense to make it as easy as possible to give people what they want. We still got 49 minutes of game time here. So, that's the first problem with the license system. It's too easy to give. Second is, and I alluded to this in episode 8, when you get demoted, there are situations where you can recover, especially at the end of the season like we are now. This is week 12 when I recorded this. Let's dodge the cars there. Where you can get that license back to you by just being 3.0. Well, have you really learned from why you were demoted in the first place? I've been demoted, but I took the time to learn. The other thing that I did is actually went, when I realized I should be a lot better than I am at this, I went and did D-level series, C-level series. Now here I am, much more successful in GT3 because I've learned how to race. I have figured some things out. And a lot of your folks that are, let's say, under... Boy, this is tight. This is tight. It's at night, so you really don't have any frame of reference in the mirror. Like, it doesn't tell you too much. Those individuals that are, let's say, 1,000 to 1,300, they're not learning. And in my case, I'm definitely learning because GT3 is really, really hard to get iRating in unless you're willing to grind and unless you're willing to invest the time to improve. And I've done that, both financially with my coaching this year of both Sam Soyd and Daniel Morat. But I also made a resource allocation of time. So this is why you're seeing individuals that, let's say they're really good at rookies, they race their way to B license, and what they've done is they've raced a series where they were really good at that car. So let's say Mazda, for example, right? this is going to be really hard. Because I have no frame of reference vector. It's pitch dark. Behind me. This next turn here is going to be even scarier. As we hit number 20. So I think once we finish with Lithuania. Alright, so there's the turn-in. And I've given myself as much room as I can. Because this sucker is huge. Where's the... It's right over there. I see it. Yes, we will have to perk this, so... Nice and slow. Now what will happen is because I'm now lined up, I can just go straight on. So, it's easy to get your license back in certain situations. And I think you stay up too long, as in between 1.0 and 2.0. And look at that. Double achievement. Not a big problem. Very nice. And that is going to conclude Latvia. There we go. We're now going to head into Lithuania. So let's get a job, and then I'll continue my thought here. So, I wish the license requirement was once you get below like 1.5 instead of 1.0. And here's an important delivery. And that is 300 kilometers. Now it's going to open us to, we're going to go from national capital, Vilnius, or Vilnius, I think is how it's pronounced. Alright, we got lights. I don't know exactly what we're towing. What I do know is I gotta get through those right through there. A little tight here. Should have been on the other side, but 6 of 1, half a dozen. Clear there. Clear there. Let me get through here. Someone has left their freight out in the rain. Who would leave their freight out in the rain? This has got a little bit of weight to it too. I can feel it in the back. So, the second problem, too easy to get it back. The reason why I didn't look here is I didn't see any lights. So I knew it was safe to come out. Now we'll use the turn signal. Moment here. There's a lot of trucks coming by. So, the third problem, 4 races each, boy, this is going to be challenging here. Okay, there we go. Alright, now we can get going here. So third problem is too easy to because it's too easy to get licenses, the fact that it's one license for everything makes it difficult. We have the yellow lights. Let's proceed. All right. If you're wondering where I can see the cruise control, it's in the lower. If you look at the orange display on the right, it's in the bottom left corner. So, for me, decide you want to turn, as we are boogieing out of Riga on our way to Vilnius. So, an example is a Skippy driver, GT3 driver, a Radical driver. They could all be the same I rating, and the license doesn't differentiate the two. And that is a big problem. And so, what I would want to see in the license system is a further fracturing of the system. Well, fracture is a harsh word. Let me slow down here. There we go. I would want a further division. So, you need a prototype ladder, you need an open wheel ladder, and you need a GT ladder. So I would say there should be 3 ratings that are carried. So, prototypes are probably the easiest one to understand. Put the Spec Racer Ford as the entry-level prototype. You have the Radical. Now, after the Radical, I would love to see the LMP3 come in. And then you have the LMP2, and then you have the eventual LMDH, LMH, whatever acronym they're using, but you know, the brand new hybrid Le Mans spec prototypes. Make that a dedicated ladder where for you to get promoted, you have to race a certain amount in each category. So, my proposal is D license, you need to race at least 6. At C, you need to do 8. And at B, you need to do 12. Now this goes alongside with series realignment. Like there should be some series realignment that goes on. And that's why there is a criteria. And what you do is you make it grandfathered in, so you now give the incentive for those individuals that have their license to keep it, because if they get demoted, you get that long climb back. And it's about exposure, because I think what is happening is people have figured out they do their minimum 4 races at the license in question, then they go back and race their preferred series. Then they get promoted and they haven't benefited from being in the higher license. So part of that requirement would be satisfied of you just got to race more at that license level. Go ahead and enjoy, for example, go ahead and enjoy your skippies, enjoy your touring car challenge. Awesome. But I would want you also in the C class to have driven some radicals, to have driven, in this example, 8 races at, let's say, GT4 or TCR and the new Brazilian stock cars, because that is going to help you when you get to GT3 racing at the B class level. You're going to have better foundational understandings. That means you're going to have better racing. I just think it's going to be better. So, here is the border with Lithuania. So we're passing that right now. So we head to Vilnius. So, more exposure, make it harder to regain promotion. And we can pick up our speed here because Lithuania allows 80 kilometers per hour. And this is where, if bad driving occurs, you've now made it a little bit less about exposure, because now that excuse is pared away. You've had to, for this example, have 6 races at D and be at a 3.0 to get promoted at the end of the season, or you would have to work your butt off to get promoted during the season, because you still have fast promotions. You want to train up your folks. More races cannot be wrong when it comes to something of this nature. So, the other 2 things I want to talk about in this video as it relates to licensing is an idea that I've broached before, but I'm going to restate it here. If you are guilty of a sporting code violation, depending on the nature of the violation, determines the severity that the sanction should have. So let's say, for example, if you are adjudicated, make sure we're going right here, Vilnius. If you are adjudicated to have committed blocking, the first time, depending on, and you have to allow the stewards to go, okay, this was a block in situation A versus situation B. First time, coaching is a good concept. But if you keep doing it, then you should be losing licenses, or you should get deductions off your license. And it should also be based on length of time on the service, because if you're new, you must emphasize coaching. They're new. may have come from Forza or F1 2021, etc. They may not know any better. So always emphasize the coaching in that situation. Now, if someone has been doing it a long time on the service, you have to assume, okay, they know better. Like, just throwing a block to throw a block, no. It's the same thing with, people who deliberately target other drivers. You have to have a zero tolerance for that. That is a very negative behavior. A block, there's a little bit more wiggle room. So I would want to see certain, and it has to be very specific, infringements of the sporting code tied to license demotion. So, let's say, first offense, someone deliberately targets another driver, takes him out. You ban them. The second time, you take away some license points with the ban, and the third time it becomes permanent. Like you have to be very hard and very firm about that, because it preserves the integrity of the service. So that, yes, you would have codified, if you do this, here's what happens, because it's very black and white. Blocking, yeah, there's some gray areas. What happens if it's on the last lap and the guy wants to defend his position because it's the last lap? You just can't ubiquitously say, you're not allowed to block. Well, if he's trying to get 5th place over you, the situation may merit some wiggle room. So yes, the license system does need reworking. It's a pretty good system in concept, but I think the increase of participation, which has been awesome, and I just realized while everyone's flying by me because the speed limit went up. Oops, let me get in the right lane here. With the significant increase that sim racing has brought, and we're all very happy for it, there has to be more emphasis on education. There has to be more emphasis on the ethos and mores of said community. So, I would make the videos that iRacing puts out, they have a driving school of videos that they have put out. I would make that mandatory viewing for promotion past a certain level. So I would say give rookie and D license. Go ahead, get used to the service. C license, because you have the Mercedes World Tour that's going to happen this year. Yeah, they're selling stock cars. I would say before you get a C license, that is where you have to go through that school. And it's a good set of videos. It will teach you quite a few things that you may not be aware of. I certainly was not aware of a few things, and I've done a lot of racing, both in real life and in sim world. So definitely a good resource. But put that element into now you're strengthening the community. When you add to the community, when you invest in this community, they will respond. They always do. They always do. Here we are in Vilnius. This is a Renault that we're driving. One of the older ones. Now, after I come to a stop, I can turn right here. No, really, you said yield. I should be able to turn there. Okay, so we cannot turn on red in Lithuania. Who knew? Who knew? Oh well. Point being is I want to see this community continue to improve and to strengthen. When I see very reputable streamers completely losing their minds over the way that people are, for example, rejoining. That says something. I'm going to give you a quick example. So, one of the OGs, let's just call it what it is. He's one of the OGs on Twitch iRacing streamer, Matt Malone. Great guy. Smart guy. You know, he streams in the winter. But, he does something, I think it's something relating like safety or something like that, but it's a seasonal job. But the point is, he's a smart guy. Look at the last 6 weeks, and you can tell his frustrations with driving standards, with the way people are acting, etc. They're hitting the boiling point. This is Matt Malone. Matt lets a lot of things go. That's his style. That's, you know, he's easygoing, right? He knows how to take a joke, knows how to give a joke. And I have now seen in multiple situations where, through no fault of his own, he has just, his frustration has gotten the better of him. Things, you know, when you see people like that who are some of your greatest marketers and advertisers, is, you know, when I stream, in the back of my mind, I say, you know, I'm advertising iRacing. I need to make sure I act appropriately. Especially now that I have the, you know, the GoPro. You know, webcams, you know, people see your face. That's a statement. In itself, because they now see you, there's more interaction. This car is very nice to me. Thank you. So, we are marketers and advertisers. Now, we do it for free. And technically, you can't even say we do it for free. We actually do it at a loss to ourselves because we just love the hobby so much. To see Matt just absolutely lose his crap. And this had been building, mind you. This was not a isolated occurrence. This has been a pattern that has been going on. Alright, let me make sure I yield here. No truck there. No truck there. And no truck there. And we have delivered in Lithuania. To see him lose it was very disheartening because I know how hard he works. He works hard. He cares a lot about iRacing. And you need advocates like that to keep a niche community going. Alright, my friends, we're going to close the episode here. So as you see, we have now opened up Vilnius. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We have 6 towns that we need to accomplish here in Lithuania. Once that happens, then we got to look at Finland and finish those as well. So as I tab out here, and you just hear me and not the music, yeah, iRacing can get better, and I hope they do. There is room for improvement, but this notion that iRacing is crap, it's not. People forget they're people too. We all bleed the same. So be nice to your iRacing people. You may be surprised at what they do in return. As always, my friends, take care of yourselves, take care of one another. God bless.